Super Rugby AU final is set up now. It's going to be the Brumbies taking on the Reds in Queensland next week. The Force visit to Canberra ends their campaign. This game for the Force obviously was a loss, but overall I think you would still say the Force's campaign has been a bloody magnificent success. I think there was talk, will they even get a win? And yet here they were in the semi-final. So commiserations to the Force. Didn't get the win, but I think they can be immensely proud of the way the team came together this season. Obviously, this result was a pretty tough one to take. The Brumbies, very good side. 21 points to 9. I think the Brumbies, though, will still be a bit frustrated with the way this game went. They dominated lots of areas of this game, but weren't really able to put the Force away until quite late on into the piece. There was no scoring until the 34th minute, and that was to the Force. The Brumbies weren't even on the board until that Tom Wright try on 36 minutes. So yeah, it was a bit of a bizarre game, and the Force's defense was having to hold for large periods. They made a ton of tackles in this game. They did it. The Brumbies will be, yeah, as I said, kind of cursing their handling and execution. Some of the decision making was a bit poor, maybe a bit casual. They'll probably need to be better against the Reds, you would say, but I do think it is the best two teams that have made it to the final in the Reds and the Brumbies. But yeah, I'll go over some of the key events, some of the stats, and yeah, you guys can give me your thoughts on the game. Like I said, it started with the Force kind of camped in their own half, their defensive wall, just holding. My first notes were the Force win a turnover, the Brumbies knock it on, bad line out for the Brumbies. The Brumbies are living in the Force's half, but they're not able to get any points. That's pretty much the story of the first kind of 20, 25, 30 minutes, really. The first time the Force really get a good chance to go down the Brumbies half, they convert into some points, 3-0. But unfortunately for them, and it's a bit of a coach killer, straight from the restart, Tom Wright ends up into space, and they convert with a great conversion, Lolosio. So it's 7 points to 3. That'll be pretty gutting. More gutting is the fact that 5 minutes later, Tony Pulu gets red carded for a shoulder to the head of Ire Simone. It's one of those ones that you've seen it a lot of times now. The guy just doesn't get low enough. The tackler doesn't get low enough, needs to bend, and the shoulder ends up going into contact with the head rather than the body. And yeah, he's off for 20. So at that point, you're kind of writing the Force off, maybe, because they've been under the pump with 15 on 15. The Brumbies have just scored a try and add a red card to that, and add the fact that from that resulting penalty, Tom Banks gets a try. It's a maul for the Brumbies. They get advantage. They spin it wide. He's into heaps of space. They miss the conversion, but it's 12-3 going into halftime. Run meters at halftime have been 290 to 63. Possession 67% Brumbies. Territory 78% Brumbies. Turnovers conceded though for the Brumbies pretty frustratingly 9. 9 in that first half. 5 by the Force, also not great. Tackling, the Brumbies have made 30. The Force have made 100 plus. So a crazy first half. But as I mentioned, the Brumbies not able to really get that kind of knockout blow. So you got to give credit to the Force for kind of holding out under that pressure. And during that red card period, the Force, the second half, managed to kick a penalty. Miotti with a good penalty. He kicks that one over. So it's what is it? 12-6? Good penalty. I don't know why I wrote 12-16, but no, it was definitely 12-6. Samu picked up a bit of a knock, unfortunately, for the Brumbies because, yeah, he'd been playing all right, but I think Valtini was probably the star of the show from the Brumbies back row. But, yeah, Wright looks to get another try on 57 minutes from a Simone kick through, but honestly, the take, it's so tragic that it's not a try. Wright has a one-handed pickup, pulls it into his hip, goes over for the try, but the TMO has a check of it. He's got some big old bright boots on, Tom Wright, and you can see that he is out. So it's chalked off, but the Brumbies do kick a penalty a few minutes later to make it 15 points to 6. I wrote a note saying the Brumbies are just not executing, poor skills, and also poor decision-making, offloading when they didn't need to offload. Like Tom Banks was guilty of this. Other guys were guilty of it, like just forcing that last pass when you just need to keep putting pressure on. They were trying to go for a knockout punch every time. Sometimes you just need to work the body. Why am I doing boxing references? I don't know. That being said, Force on 64, an absolute monster scrum in their own 22. That's going to be an area where the Reds' eyes light up because the Brumbies' scrum was absolutely on wheels at that point, and the Force kicked the penalty on 68 to make it 15-9. 15-9 is looking pretty hairy after you've seen what the Force did to the Reds a week before, man. You can't write these guys off. That being said, the Force conceded a breakdown penalty in their own 22 on 70. The Brumbies kicked it 18-9. That point, the Force are really having to chase the game. They're throwing it around their own half. It's not a good look. And they're going backwards. Eventually, the Brumbies get another penalty. They kick it to make it 21-9. And that's pretty much all she wrote. Possession finishes 62-38. Territory 71-29. So Brumbies pretty dominant. But you look at that scoreboard, it's not hiding. Run meters 491 to 166. The Force make 167 tackles. The Brumbies end up having to make 85, so a bit more work for them in the second half, but they tackle at 91%. The Force were at 89, which is also really good. Anything around 90% is a great effort. Line out for the Force a bit costly, 66% operational. The Brumbies were at 91, so pretty secure. Kateka makes 23 tackles. Godwin made something stupid like 17. Valtini, though, he was just bumping people off, man. He's had, I think that's the best game I've ever seen him play. I know he didn't score a try, but he's such a big guy. And he's had a few injuries in his short career that I feel like he's always a little bit hesitant to really just unleash. But he really unleashed in this game, and that's what we need to see from him. 7 defenders beaten. Turnovers conceded finishes 16-13, so too many of those for both sides, including 11 knock-ons each. So that's a wee area of concern. The Brumbies, as I said, will need to be better against the Reds or they will get punished. Still, I don't think the Force ever really looked like nicking this one. They were still within touching distance, but the Brumbies always looked like the team to win it. But as I said, in terms of the campaign, if you're a Force fan, I think I'd be pretty chuffed with the way things have gone, even if it ends at this point. Brumbies, need to be better, but they've had 2 close outings against the Reds before, so there's no reason they can't do it on the next attempt. But crazy game, and that it didn't kind of, like the stats say it should have been a hiding, but it really wasn't. It was a good watch. You guys let me know your thoughts. How did you think it went? Do you think the Brumbies, based on this, are a decent shot against the Reds next week, or do you think the Reds will be just too good? Anyway, you guys have any thoughts, and I'll talk to you guys soon. See you later.